Hey, Joe Walsh here. It's Immigration Deal Week in the Senate. I worry that a bad deal's a-coming. We'll talk about it when Freedom returns to 5.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Coming to you live from AM Woodland Outdoor Design in Mundelein, part of our AM 560 Signature Bank Business Tour, the 2018 edition. am-ld.com is the website for AM Woodland Outdoor Design. And this is just remarkable. I mentioned it before Mike Scott's newscast. In 2016, July, Governor Rauner said, we're really on top of the situation at the Illinois Veterans Home in Quincy, where there was an outbreak of Legionnaires' disease. That was July of 2016, so 18 months ago, plus. In the fall of 2017, 3 more people got sick from Legionnaires' disease. A Korean War veteran died at the home. A month ago, not even, Rauner and his wife went and stayed over for a night.
Yeah, they're there for a week, actually.
Oh, whatever.
A week.
A political stunt.
Yeah, took showers there, hot showers.
Jane Byrne Redux. Everything's fine. They're on top of it.
Drank the water, they said.
Mm-hmm. And this week, the Illinois Department of Public Health is reporting 2 new laboratory-confirmed cases of Legionnaires' disease among the residents of the Illinois Veterans Home. Remarkable. A year and a half from Governor Rauner's pronouncement that we're on top of it. 13 dead, 11 lawsuits alleging negligence from families of those afflicted, and now 2 new cases this week. For more on this topic and a couple of others, because he was part of a White House briefing on Trump's proposed infrastructure program, which, as the Transportation Center of the Midwest, is particularly salient to Illinois. We're pleased to be joined by Dave McSweeney, State Representative, Republican from Barrington Hills. Dave, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great. Thanks for having me on.
So why don't we start with the Veterans Home in Quincy and your reaction to the Department of Public Health report about these 2 new cases?
Well, last week, the governor said 2 things. First thing he said is that he did an exceptional job. He wouldn't change anything on the Quincy Veterans Home. And again, as you stated, 13 veterans are dead. We continue to have problems. And the other thing, and it's related actually in my view, is the governor said at the Sun-Times that he does not have a relationship with President Trump. In fact, he was bragging about the fact that he never met him and criticized the President of the United States. As I said in early January at a hearing to his top appointees on this issue of the Veterans Home, the governor needs to show leadership. We need to build a new facility in Quincy. The building is obviously contaminated. 13 veterans and spouses have died. We now have 2 new cases, but of course the governor not only refuses to meet with President Trump to discuss funding for Illinois for the Veterans Home, for transportation, we'll talk about in a second, but he's saying that he wouldn't change anything. In fact, he went on to say, I just want to repeat, he said they did an exceptional job. And it's time for this governor to be in charge. He claims that he's not in charge, and to show that he's actually a leader for our veterans. And the way to do that is to actually secure the financing to do his job as governor, to work with the administration. I mean, Dan and Amy, do you think if Governor Rauner called President Trump and said, we have 13 veterans that are dead, we need $25 to $30 million of federal money to build a new building in Quincy, do you think the president would say no? Of course he would. It's the lack of leadership.
He would help in a second, but then his wife, Diana, wouldn't speak to him probably for the next month if he reached out to President Trump, which is a sad fact. That's the state that we live in. But now that 2 more people have been diagnosed with Legionella or Legionnaire's disease, does Governor Rauner have the power to shut that place down? I mean, even if you look at the health report for Illinois State Board of Health, they said that they cannot eradicate Legionella from that water supply system.
Yeah, and there's a facility there, Amy, the Elmore facility, that is the real source of the problem. That actually was built in 1965, and there's clearly a fundamental problem that will never be able to be fixed. There's a facility, Kent, that they could that has some old problems, but that they could quickly rehab, and at least as a temporary facility, and then build a new facility, which probably would cost between $35 to $50 million with 65% funding for the VA. This is not working. They're saying that these 2 cases, the people are being treated, but this is just absolutely outrageous. These are our veterans. They need to be taken care of. But again, this is a simple call If he doesn't want to meet with him, he should call the President of the United States and ask for a coordinated effort. But you know what the governor did? He appointed a task force. Well, what is the last task force that you know of that's done anything in this state? It's just another way of kicking the can down the road. It's absolutely outrageous.
Speaking of your meeting and infrastructure and the Trump's proposal for a big infrastructure program, give us an update on what that White House briefing you attended was like and what you suggest the governor do writ large when it comes to federal funding support for Illinois' infrastructure needs.
Well, Dan, as you said, obviously we're the infrastructure hub of the Midwest with our airports and rail and ports. The president has proposed what I think is a good plan. Provides for $200 billion of federal funding over 10 years. He pays for it by cutting other spending. We'll be able to leverage that into about $1.5 trillion of infrastructure spending. I'd like to see some more federal dollars just because we send so much money to Washington and get a lot less back. That said, it's a good start, and I support the president. I went to a briefing. I was honored yesterday and included 8 governors. In fact, 2 Democratic governors were there. The governor of Virginia, Northam, and the governor of Louisiana, Edwards. Governor Scott Walker was there. He was very prepared. He talked about a specific plan on Foxconn. So we spent 45 minutes with the president yesterday, a group of 24 of us, and it was a great honor. But that's something that Governor Rauner should have been there. I mean, the president is very engaged. And it's going to be by priority. He's called for expedited permitting to get down to 2 years, but the state has to do our job. This is a governor who won't meet with the president. Again, if Northam, the governor of Virginia, remember the president, we just had a big race against him. Gillespie lost, but the president spent a lot of time campaigning. They had a very cordial conversation yesterday. I was there. I saw it. That's a Democratic governor. If Northam can talk to the president and talk about a specific project that he had in Norfolk, why can't Governor Rauner, as a Republican governor, allegedly a Republican governor, speak to the President of the United States? So he needs to do his job. He needs to meet with the leadership in the state, including our congressional delegation, and pull together a list of priority projects and how we're going to fund them. Or we're going to lose out. That's the issue. Again, it's a lack of leadership.
I'm going to ask you a political question. Over the last week, this embarrassment to the Illinois Republican Party, and despite the hand-wringing, there's still a responsibility that's attendant to the Republican Party. And I'm talking, of course, about the pending or the imminent nomination of a Nazi to be the Republican Party's nominee in the 3rd Congressional District. This is the Dan Lipinski Congressional District, and now
the Holocaust denier.
Holocaust denier, yeah, Nazi.
Crazy.
This is not a known quantity. This lunatic is somebody who's tried to run for office before, and this time, though, the Illinois Republican Party, despite the fact you have to circulate nominating petitions, get signatures, go through a process, and so forth, asleep at the switch while this guy is walking to the nomination for a congressional seat. By the way, a congressional seat kind of in Trump territory where we should be competing, and we're not even paying attention when a Nazi is walking to the nomination. So the disavowals from the chairman, Tim Schneider, and from the National Committeeman, Richard Porter, are nice, and I agree with them. But what about the accountability for allowing that to happen in the first place?
Well, Dan, the first problem is the premise that there is an Illinois Republican Party. It's the Illinois Rauner Party. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, I'm a Reagan Republican, and I support the president. I don't recognize this Rauner Party, right? Abortion on demand paid for by taxpayers for the 9th month, sanctuary state, massive tax increases, weak leadership on veterans. That's not my Republican Party. Again, I'm a Ronald Reagan Republican. So that's the first problem. It's the Illinois Rauner Party. And the Illinois Rauner Party, obviously, with Tim Schneider as the chairman, dropped the ball. I really do believe that not only should they have recruited a candidate there, I don't know why we wouldn't, like you said, it could be a very competitive seat, especially if the left-wing candidate comes out of the primary, who's going to potentially defeat Lipinski. We should have been recruiting a top-tier candidate, but the Illinois Rauner Party is too focused on Bruce Rauner instead of focusing on stopping fiascos like this. I mean,
this is crazy, though.
But embarrassment. It is crazy. This guy should be condemned. He's a coward. He's a racist. But yeah, the Illinois Rauner Party dropped the ball on this, meaning Tim Schneider, who is the hand-picked Raunerite.
But do you think that Rauner did it to make the Republican Party look bad?
I don't think that's just incompetence. I mean, it's kind of like the veterans thing. I think he's so focused.
He's not in
on
charge.
running around the state with. He's like the Kardashians with his Facebook page. Taking his pictures, dressed up in different costumes, and running around the state playing governor instead of actually being governor.
Yeah, the sash is a nice touch. On the other side, I want to get your take on the Me Too being visited upon Mike Madigan and his street muscle, Quinn. How did you react to that story? That must have been a very difficult decision for Madigan to part company with the Quinn
years.
family.
Yeah. Well, he should have been gone a long time ago. We read the Tribune story this morning, and the guy should have been fired immediately and went on for a long time. Obviously, I'm glad he's gone, but it should have happened a long time ago, and that's one of the reasons that it's such a scandal that we didn't have a legislative inspector general. I know you've had Ms. Rothmeyer on a lot and talked to her. For years, we went without being able to investigate these types of situations in the General Assembly, but this guy should have been gone a long time ago.
He is David McSweeney, Republican state legislator, state rep from Barrington Hills. Dave, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you very much.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.